What connects a former Zambian first family to the most powerful office in the world? The answer lies in Donald Trump's latest power move, a decision sending shockwaves from Lusaka to Washington. Why is the Lungu family suddenly on America's radar? And what does it mean for Africa and the future of U.S. relations? This is more than just a political headline. It's a high-stakes story of money, power, and influence that could change the game for both continents. From Zambia to the White House, Lungu family in Trump's latest power move. Former Zambian President Edgar Lungu's family has been unexpectedly caught in the crossfire of Donald Trump's latest political strategy, and it's making waves from Zambia to the United States. In this investigative report, we explore why Trump's new move targets Africa, the alleged role of the Lungu family, how this decision could shift U.S.-Africa relations, political and economic consequences for Zambia. This is a story of power, diplomacy, and global politics, one that links African leadership to the heart of Washington, D.C. Pushpin subscribe for global political investigations and breaking news. Inspire Africa official. Zambia meets the White House. In this speculative analysis, we explore a hypothetical scenario where the Lungu family, a prominent political dynasty in Zambia, becomes entangled in a high-profile diplomatic or political interaction with the White House in 2025. This scenario assumes a significant event, perhaps a state visit, a geopolitical negotiation, or a controversial policy move that brings Zambia, a landlocked nation in southern Africa, into the global spotlight. The involvement of the Lungu family, led by former President Edgar Lungu, with the U.S. administration, possibly led by Donald Trump, given the reference to Trump's latest power move, raises questions about power dynamics, international relations, and the intersection of African and American political interests. Zambia, known for its copper wealth, stable democracy, by regional standards, and strategic importance in southern Africa, has historically maintained cordial but low-profile relations with the United States. A sudden convergence of Zambian and U.S. political figures suggests a moment of geopolitical significance, potentially involving economic deals, security partnerships, or ideological alignments. This analysis delves into the Lungu family's background, the nature of this hypothetical power move, the reasons for their involvement, and the broader implications for Zambia, the U.S., and U.S.-Africa relations. The year 2025 places this scenario in a future context where global politics may have shifted. Donald Trump, if re-elected in 2024, would be navigating his second term, potentially pursuing an America First agenda with renewed vigor. Zambia, under President Hakainde Hichilema, elected in 2021, might be grappling with economic recovery, debt restructuring, and regional influence. The Lungu family, though no longer in power, remains a significant political force in Zambia. This introduction sets the stage for a detailed exploration of how these actors might intersect in a high-stakes diplomatic or political drama. Who is the Lungu family? Historical context. The Lungu family is synonymous with Edgar Lungu, Zambia's sixth president, who served from January 25, 2015 to August 24, 2021. Born on November 11, 1957, in Ndola, Zambia, Edgar Lungu rose from humble beginnings to become a central figure in Zambian politics. His presidency, under the Patriotic Front (PF) party, was marked by economic challenges, allegations of authoritarianism, and a polarizing leadership style. The Lungu family's prominence extends beyond Edgar, encompassing his wife, Esther Lungu, and their children, who have been active in public life, philanthropy, and, at times, controversy. Edgar Lungu's political journey. Edgar Lungu's ascent to power began with his legal career. Trained as a lawyer at the University of Zambia, he practiced law before entering politics in the early 2000s. He joined the Patriotic Front, founded by Michael Sata, and held various ministerial roles, including Minister of Home Affairs and Minister of Defense, before becoming president after Sata's death in 2014. Lungu won a narrow victory in the 2015 by-election and a contentious re-election in 2016 against Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development, UPND. Lungu's presidency was a mixed bag. His administration prioritized infrastructure development, such as roads and schools, and maintained Zambia's role as a regional peacekeeper. However, it faced criticism for economic mismanagement, particularly Zambia's default on Eurobond debt in 2020, a first for an African nation. Allegations of electoral irregularities, media suppression, and shrinking democratic space dogged his tenure, culminating in his defeat to Hichilema in 2021. The Lungu family's public role. Esther Lungu, the former First Lady, played a visible role during Edgar's presidency. Through the Esther Lungu Foundation Trust, she championed women's empowerment, education, and health initiatives, earning both praise and skepticism. Critics argued her foundation was a vehicle for political patronage, while supporters viewed it as a genuine effort to address social issues. The Lungu children, 6 in total, including daughters Tassila, Chieso, and Esther Jr., have also been in the public eye. Tassila Lungu, in particular, has been politically active, serving as a counselor and expressing ambitions for higher office. The family's influence extends to Zambia's business and social spheres. Edgar Lungu's allies in the PF and business circles have kept the family relevant post-presidency, with speculation about their role in opposition politics. By 2025, Edgar Lungu, though retired from the presidency, might still wield influence as a kingmaker or opposition leader, especially if the PF seeks to challenge Hichilema in future elections. Controversies and public perception. The Lungu family has not been without controversy. During Edgar's presidency, accusations of corruption, particularly in mining and infrastructure contracts, were rampant. The Financial Intelligence Center in Zambia flagged suspicious transactions linked to PF affiliates, though no definitive charges were brought against the Lungus. Post-2021, the Hichilema administration investigated alleged financial improprieties from Lungu's era, fueling perceptions of political vendettas. The family's wealth, including properties and business interests, has also drawn scrutiny, with critics questioning its origins. In Zambian society, the Lungus are a polarizing force. Supporters view Edgar as a champion of the common man, while detractors see him as emblematic of Zambia's governance challenges. By 2025, the Lungu family might be navigating a comeback, leveraging their political capital and grassroots support to remain relevant. Trump's latest power move explained. Hypothetical context. In this speculative scenario, Trump's latest power move refers to a bold, high-profile action by a re-elected President Donald Trump in 2025 involving the Lungu family. This could manifest as a diplomatic summit, an economic deal, or a political endorsement with implications for U.S.-Zambia relations. Trump's foreign policy in his first term, 2017 to 2021, prioritized bilateral deals, economic leverage, and countering China's global influence. A second term might amplify these priorities, with Africa as a new frontier. Possible scenarios. Economic deal in Zambia's mining sector. Zambia is a global leader in copper production, a critical resource for renewable energy technologies. In 2025, Trump might negotiate a U.S.-Zambia trade deal to secure copper supplies for American industries, bypassing Chinese dominance in Zambia's mining sector. The Lungu family, with ties to mining stakeholders from their PF days, could be intermediaries or beneficiaries, raising questions about their role. Diplomatic summit. Trump might host Edgar Lungu or a family member at the White House to signal support for Zambia's opposition, aligning with his strategy of backing anti-establishment figures globally. This could be a calculated move to pressure Hichilema's government or counter Chinese influence in southern Africa. Geopolitical maneuver. Trump's administration might invite the Lungu family to discuss security cooperation, such as counterterrorism or regional stability in southern Africa. Zambia's role in hosting refugees and mediating conflicts makes it a strategic partner, and the Lungu's political network could be leveraged. Trump's motivations. Trump's foreign policy is often characterized by transactionalism and spectacle. A power move involving the Lungus could serve multiple purposes. Countering China. China's investments in Zambia, particularly in mining and infrastructure, have grown significantly. Trump might seek to undercut Beijing's influence by offering favorable U.S. deals, using the Lungus as political allies. Domestic appeal. A high-profile African engagement could bolster Trump's image among U.S. voters, portraying him as a global dealmaker. Personal branding. Inviting a controversial figure like Edgar Lungu aligns with Trump's penchant for aligning with polarizing leaders, from Jair Bolsonaro to Viktor Orban. Execution and optics. The power move might involve a White House state dinner, a bilateral agreement signing, or a public endorsement of the Lungu's political aspirations. Media coverage would likely focus on the optics: Trump shaking hands with Edgar Lungu, Esther Lungu meeting Melania Trump, or Tassila Lungu addressing U.S. investors. Such events would generate buzz but also scrutiny, given the Lungu's controversial past. Why the Lungu family is involved. Political relevance. Despite losing the presidency in 2021, the Lungu family remains a force in Zambian politics. Edgar Lungu's leadership of the PF and his grassroots support make him a potential kingmaker in 2026 elections. The US, under Trump, might see the Lungus as a counterweight to Hichilema's UPND, which is aligned with Western institutions like the IMF. The Lungus' involvement could be strategic, leveraging their influence to sway Zambian policy or public opinion. Economic connections. The Lungus' ties to Zambia's business elite, particularly in mining and construction, make them attractive partners for a US administration seeking economic footholds. During Edgar's presidency, PF allies secured lucrative contracts, and the family's network could facilitate US investments in 2025. Symbolic value. The Lungus' involvement might be symbolic, signaling US support for Zambia's opposition or a broader anti-establishment narrative. Trump's affinity for strongman figures could make Edgar Lungu an appealing partner, despite his democratic controversies. Potential risks. Involving the Lungus carries risks for the US. Their association with corruption allegations could taint the deal, drawing criticism from Zambian civil society and international watchdogs. The Hichilema administration might also view this as interference, straining US-Zambia relations. Political reactions in Zambia. Government response. President Hakainde Hichilema's administration would likely view the Lungus' White House engagement with suspicion. Since 2021, Hichilema has sought to distance Zambia from PF-era policies, focusing on economic reforms and Western partnerships. A US move to engage the Lungus could be seen as undermining his government, prompting diplomatic protests or public denouncements. Opposition dynamics. The PF would likely capitalize on the Lungus' White House moment, portraying it as international validation. This could galvanize their base ahead of 2026 elections, positioning Edgar or Tassila Lungu as viable contenders. Other opposition parties, like the Socialist Party, might criticize the move as elitist, appealing to populist sentiments. Public sentiment. Zambian public opinion would be divided. Lungu supporters would celebrate the family's global prominence, while Hichilema's base might see it as a betrayal of Zambia's democratic progress. Social media platforms like X would buzz with debates, hashtags like #Lungu in Washington trending alongside critiques of US interference. Civil society and media. Zambian NGOs, such as Transparency International Zambia, might warn against legitimizing a family linked to corruption. Independent media outlets like Newsdiggers would scrutinize the deal, while pro-PF media might spin it as a diplomatic triumph. Global response from Washington and beyond. US political reactions. In Washington, reactions would split along partisan lines. Republicans might praise Trump's bold Africa strategy, while Democrats could criticize it as reckless, citing the Lungus' controversial record. Think tanks like the Brookings Institution might analyze the move's implications for Africa policy, questioning its long-term viability. African Union and regional players. The African Union, AU, would likely remain neutral, but southern African nations like South Africa and Zimbabwe might express concern. South Africa, a regional powerhouse, could see US engagement with Zambia's opposition as destabilizing. Zimbabwe, under ZANU-PF, might quietly support it, given their own anti-Western stance. Global powers. China, a major player in Zambia, would closely monitor the situation. AU-Lungu partnership could be seen as a direct challenge to Beijing's influence, prompting economic or diplomatic countermeasures. The EU and UK, key partners in Zambia's debt restructuring, might urge caution to maintain stability. What this means for US-Africa relations. Strategic implications. AU.S. Lungu engagement could reshape US-Africa relations. By prioritizing bilateral deals with opposition figures, the US might alienate African governments, undermining multilateral frameworks like the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. However, it could also signal a more assertive US presence in Africa, countering China and Russia. Economic opportunities. Zambia's copper and renewable energy potential make it a strategic partner. A successful US deal could boost American industries, but failure risks ceding ground to competitors like China. Diplomatic risks. Engaging a controversial family like the Lungus could damage US credibility in Africa, where democratic governance is a sensitive issue. It might also strain relations with Hichilema's government, complicating cooperation on debt relief and security. Conclusion. The bigger picture. This hypothetical scenario underscores the complexities of EU-Africa relations in a multipolar world. The Lungu family's involvement with the White House, driven by Trump's power move, highlights the interplay of personal ambition, national interests, and global geopolitics. While offering economic and strategic opportunities, it risks political backlash and diplomatic missteps. The bigger picture is one of competing visions for Africa's future, between Western engagement, Chinese investment, and African sovereignty.